Ta-da! This is the fun part about not having a co-host is I don't check the audio. It's awesome. It's really awesome. It's like I'm allergic to checking the audio. I don't know. From the top, though, it's good news, guys. We finally have an update about when we're going to be able to see Gavan Infinity in action. Like, not a preview, just full on. Well, it'll still be a preview, but like a full on narrative, I guess. It says right here, Super Space Sheriff Gavan Infinity. The super production announcement, there's a stream confirmed. Now, of course, that means that over here in the United States, we're probably not going to be able to see that as most of the streams about this have been region locked. However, this could be one that isn't. It could be one that's sort of global, I guess, kind of like what happened with Common Writer Zetz. Zetz, I think I've said that right. But anyway, as you can see right here, we finally have a preview of what Gavan Infinity, what do they call him? Common Writer Infinity. That's wrong. Close. Close. We're close. You'll find out in just a minute, though. But what this actor looks like. Now, of course, this jacket looks eerily familiar to the Alpha Industries jackets that are semi-popular these days. Probably not as popular as Supreme jackets, but as you can see, has the little red ribbon over here. See that? This looks strikingly close to what the character in the preview is wearing. You see this? Looks pretty close, huh? Looks pretty close. We'll jump back over here so you can take a look at it. That's pretty close, isn't it? Yeah. But this is not my idea. Someone in the comments let us know that this is what's happening. But there will be a teaser, a version A, if you will, featuring a glimpse of the cast. So what this appears to be is sort of like a trailer, a full trailer, as opposed to what we got before, which was sort of like a musical music video, if you will, sort of like what I created there at the beginning with I'm Going Red. That's what we got already, and that's where that footage came from, was their original little teaser trailer showing off the suits. Apparently, there'll be another teaser trailer here on January 18th that will show us the cast. Of course, we don't know for sure who the other two are, but we do know who the actor is going to be for Gavan Infinity. All right. But before we jump into that, I do want to answer a question from Austin McNeil here. He asked it a few hours ago when we started the stream. Put up the stream. He says, hey, C, what's going on with the Mighty Morphin? I believe it's supposed to be a Hollow Earth story. Like I said before, I'm just kind of making sure that it like flows correctly. I'm tired, unfortunately, so I don't want to make mistakes. It's the same thing that's going on with the Star Strikers intro that I promised. I'm still working on it. I'm just exhausted, and it makes it very difficult to put something out that actually is quality. You know, not that anything I've made has been like, Hollywood level, but I don't want to put out stuff that's rushed or missing the point or disconnected. And so I take my time with it. And unfortunately, it's taking a long time. So I haven't forgotten. It's just I don't want to put out something sloppier than it already is, I guess. But now you know. Nobody's forgotten anything. Yeah, Ibiki Gamer giving us an update about what's going on with geopolitics. A lot of crazy stuff going out there. We might end up seeing 500 million European users just disappear from X.com in the next few weeks because apparently the photo edit button will destroy the universe. I mean, again, I don't understand why Elon did that, but here we are. Alpha Omega's here. Evening to you too. Evening to you too. Did I take an energy drink? No, I should have. I really should have. But no, I didn't. No, I'm just trying to be up the energy here. Because guess what? We do have the information about the lead actor playing Gavan Infinity now. So let's check it out. So here he is. Now you might recognize him as Kamen Rider Wizard. That's right. We're getting back the Shunya Shiraishi. I think I've said that. Shiraishi. I think I've said that right. You'll have to let me know if I have or not. But Shunya will be portraying Gavan Infinity. Now, of course, this isn't a picture of him in the show, but this is probably the most recent photos, most recent actor headshot for his like auditions and stuff. So this is probably a more accurate look of him these days as opposed to when he was playing Kamen Rider Wizard. So that's pretty neat. We're going to be getting him playing Gavan Infinity, and that is a cast member that apparently has been confirmed through this ad right here. So that's pretty cool to see Kamen Rider Wizard returning to our big screen here, our tokusatsu screen, to usher in the return of Metal Heroes. I'm not sure people want to call it that because it behaves more like Sentai sometimes. So there's a bit of a question about what this new saga is going to be called as a genre itself, sort of like how Super Sentai is its own thing. Is this going to be a Metal Heroes story, or are they going to address this as a different type of hero now? Will Project Red be what you call the heroes now? Are they Project Red heroes? It's not really sure, not really clear, rather, what they're being called just yet. But we'll find out soon, I'm sure. We'll find out soon. Sure. Here we go. Shiraishi. Sorry. Shiraishi. My bad. Shiraishi. Shiraishi. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So yeah, this is that's right. I love the guy who became wizard and now he's playing Gavan Infinity. Uh, Now it's showtime. Yeah, exactly. So he went from Wizard Infinity there. Remember his form with his last form was the Wizard Infinity. Now he's gone to Gavan Infinity. But I think it's a great idea that we're seeing these guys, these tested actors returning to the franchise, or at least returning to Toei's big screen, if you will, because we can trust them. We know that these actors have the skill, have the tenacity, and have the drive to produce something fun and exciting, interesting, and, at times, light. That feeling in your heart when you're watching something really dramatic and then all of a sudden there's a lighthearted moment showing up. Kamen Rider Wizard had a few of these, especially the one where he's doing his laundry outside. That was a pretty funny incident. Of course, the character in Kamen Rider Wizard was a bit hapless too, so I'm not sure that this is going to be Gavan Infinity's attitude because Gavan Infinity appears to be he's powered by rage. And so I'm not sure that this character is going to be as easygoing and cool guy as the character Haruto was in Kamen Rider Wizard. I think he'd probably be a bit more hard nosed. Again, that when the Japanese lean into their police dramas for tokusatsu anyway, it's usually very, very good stuff, very solid representation of what law enforcement does. It doesn't usually make fun of them. There are, of course, shows and other tokusatsu installments like Signal Man, for instance, from Car Ranger. You remember Signal Man. There are some goofy things that they do add in, but it's not so much to make fun of the police as it is to make light, I guess, of the role of police in that particular setting. And this appears to be taking the space sheriff thing to the extreme, I guess. Not extreme as in the sense of like extreme, but like to the ends of the road with it. So, I mean, it's good to see at least that they're taking this a bit more seriously than just trying to do Super Sentai, but with extra steps. So I appreciate it. I think it's smart to do as well. We also had a 50 years of Sentai interview, and this was not with Yohota, by the way. This was not by Yohota. This interview was with trying to make sure I pronounce this right. Hiroshi Butsuda. He's 64. This comes from the TV Asahi website itself, and it says Sentai 50 years of technology leaping into a new dimension. Special effects director talks about the passion for new work. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because this interview is also locked off, so you have to pay to get access to it. But what I wanted to drag your attention to is that is a man in a suit. I don't know if that image will get any bigger, but that is a man in a suit back there. Yeah, okay. That's a man in the suit, so we're not going to get full CGI mecha. You'll see probably the transformation sequence being full CGI and probably the machines themselves flying around as full CGI, but it appears to be that the suit itself will have live action portions involved with it, which is great to see because I was really worried that it was going to go the route of the Chinese tokusatsu and just be pure CGI for all the robots and machine footage. So I'm glad to see that they're going to continue doing the man in the suit jumping around and being the robot. I think that's cool. Again, this is mostly what I'm struggling to remember his name. I'm very sorry. It's not anything meaning to offend at all. I just it's just not a name I'm used to associating with this. This is Hiroshi Butsuda, and he's been doing this for the better part of the 50 years of Super Sentai. I want to say he's close to 40 years in the business. Oh no, yeah, actually, yeah, close to 40 years in the business. Now he turned down a job with an actual engineering firm to work for Toei as like a low-level intern, and worked his way up to being a director of special effects for a great deal of the Super Sentai shows that we love and a great deal of the Kamen Rider shows that we love. He was involved in Kamen Rider Ryuki as well, handling the special effects coordination and directing for that. And he said that was a lot of fun too. So we have that guy, the guy from Kamen Rider Ryuki, working on this. So, and it might be one of the last things that he does in his career, as he is 64 years old, and it's getting up there to when it's time to pass the torch on to the next guy. And who knows who will take it from there. But this is a good sign. That's what I'm trying to get at. This is a good sign that they're going to go through and they're going to build up the presentation of this, probably to be a bit, I wouldn't say like smarter than Super Sentai, but more mature than Super Sentai. It appears to be the focus is going to be a bit closer to Kamen Rider's age group rather than down in the 5 to 8-year-old group. Not that it's down as in like inferior, but what I'm trying to explain is like age level down in 5 to 8-year-olds, which is where Sentai aims mostly. It's not a bad thing, but quite obviously that market is a little skinny right now thanks to the lack of children in Japan. So obviously they're doing their best to compensate. But back over here in the chat, we have some commentating. We have the Ironcaster here saying, I loved Wizard. I didn't even realize it was the same actor. Yeah, what do you know? Japanese guys, right? Yeah, I think it's been like 15 years since Wizard, right? When was Wizard? It was a while ago Wizard came. Yeah, it was 2012. So yeah, it was like 13 years ago that Kamen Rider Wizard came out. So yeah, he's probably changed a bit in the face since then. And we'll jump back over to it and take a look at him. So as you can see, he's changed just a bit in the face, just a little bit. As you can see, he's probably in his early 20s here in this performance and, you know, firmly in his late 30s here. So middle 30s anyway. So, which again, older Sentai actors have always been a bit more fun than the younger ones. Not that the younger ones are bad or anything, but the older Sentai actors tend to have a bit more experience in it and like to have a bit more, they like to chew up the scene, as Hollywood likes to talk, like Hollywood likes to explain it. And so I hope that this guy really does like pour it on, like really dump the drama and dump on the just the aesthetic of being the Gavan Infinity protagonist. I really hope that he's that kind of law enforcer attitude kind of guy. Because again, it would be a juxtaposition to who he played when he was Hotaru in Kamen Rider Wizard. So that's pretty neat. The do you remember Kamen Rider Ichigo's daughter becoming a female Kamen Rider? You know what? I don't remember her name. I don't think it was Kamen Rider Kiva. I don't think it was that one. I could be wrong. It might have been Kamen Rider Kiva. You'll have to let me know, Viki Gamer, which one that is, because I don't remember which female Kamen Rider she became. I apologize. Sakuramita asks, Cider, did you hear of Gavan Infinity only having 25 episodes? No, I haven't, but I don't doubt it. Again, like, this is a big risk for Toei. Sentai is a 50-year franchise that they are putting the cap on for at least a little while anyway, as far as they're willing to admit. And so this new production really has to make sure that it like gets in, stays tight, and gets out. Like they can't have too much fluff in it. They can't like really push too much filler in it. It really has to be bam, 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 bam. See you next season. It really does have to cut through that. And I'm willing to bet that the streaming is also part of that, because streaming likes to do the binge effect even after the series has premiered all the way through. If they go week by week with it, let's put it that way, kind of like what's going on with Zets. So 25 episodes makes perfect sense to me for this, because again, it's aimed more toward the Kamen Rider audience, and Kamen Rider's already there. So this is probably aiming to be like the half a year production, and then they are talking about another hero already being added into the Project Red series. Um, uh, I think it was Sakurai. I could have it wrong. Anyway, the guy that's in charge of Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, he explained during the Toei Tokusatsu fan club stream, I did get a little bit of that. He did explain that there are 3 installments of the Project Red franchise so far. Gavan Infinity is the first. And he said it really starts to, like, I guess, root itself and become very interesting and take on its own attitude by the 3rd installment. So it appears that they're taking us from the familiar with the Sentai. So as you can see with the Gavan Infinity suit, we'll jump back over here to the really pixelated preview that we have here. But as you can see, the Kamen Rider suit here no, gosh. As you can see, the Gavan Infinity suit, my apologies, is a mixture of Kamen Rider and Super Sentai. It's using a lot of color aesthetic from Super Sentai, and it's using a lot of armor aesthetic from Kamen Rider. One of the things I was mentioning, I believe, with Nerdigans when we talked about this a couple weeks ago, is that the shoes on Gavan Infinity are pretty similar to what they did with Boon Boonjer and with the current one, Gozuger, because Gozuger is again much more parkoury, jumpy aroundy. They do a lot of special effects with them doing these midair attacks and things like that. Not that that wasn't possible before, but the boots make it difficult to roll the ankle in different directions. It's not hard, mind you, as in like impossible, but because of the structure of the boot, it tends to crumple and resist certain ankle movement. So the shoe does not have that problem, as the shoe is designed to allow the ankle to move back and forth, front, and all different angles it can move. And so that is just another sort of evolution of what's happening with Gavan Infinity. And what it appears to be is they're going to take us from the familiar, which is these color coded heroes, and now we're going to combine it with the Kamen Rider armor, Kamen Rider style armor, no belt, obviously, and then migrate it out of that even further into something else. Apparently, one of these Project Red stories is supposed to involve a guy that doesn't transform, and I don't know. I mean, what's the point? that that's just a that's just a kung fu movie, right? That's just a regular show about a guy. It's like Walker Texas Ranger, then, right? I don't know. Maybe it's about a story like Jaspion. I think Jaspion was the one that was full robot, right? He was a total robot, and that was his stories. He was a cybernetic man trying to enforce the law and learn about humanity at the same time. Wasn't that? I think that was Jaspion. You have to let me know in the in the wherever you are. You'll have to let me know. But I think that's what it was. There was another one too where it was like a just full on robot guy, and that might be what it is. Is that they would go back to like the super core dynamic of what a metal hero is, and that they're a pure robot character trying to learn humanity as well as learn how to fight crime appropriately. Sort of like what happened with RoboCop at the beginning when he was a big goofball, as opposed to being the Terminator style character that he evolved into. Of course, that was purposefully making him a goofball in the beginning, too soft to enforce the law in Detroit. And so this could be something that's going on with this character that doesn't transform. But that's all I know about Project Red so far. They haven't made anything known about where they're going to distribute this. They haven't said anything about how they're going to distribute it, even. Mostly the conversation has just purely been skating around the hard details of Gavan Infinity and the hard details of Project Red. And one of the things that shocked me about the interview was that they didn't have a script for Gavan Infinity when they started advertising Gozuger. They had decided that Sentai was ending, but they didn't know that Gavan Infinity was going to be the thing that came after that. So that shocked me. That was like, wow, okay, that must have been a really, really tense decision-making process that they had Gozuger's advertising in production and then had to later on mention that this was the last Sentai, because when they came out of the gate, they weren't sure if it was going to be the last Sentai. because they weren't sure if they were going to move into Project Red or not. And so that's pretty crazy when you think about how big, powerful, efficient, and well thought out, well planned out Toei is. So this is a really, really big decision. So those 25 episodes make perfect sense to me, Sakura Vida. Perfect sense to me. Um, so yeah, I used to watch Walker Texas Ranger when I was a kid. Yeah, Chuck Norris could really kick an Asian man through a window. Nothing like it. I don't know why it was always Chinese mafia men that Chuck Norris was fighting. I mean, it really set up an expectation, that you'd run into these kung fu fighting mafia men all the time. But what do you know? Not so much martial arts out there in the drug trade. Wouldn't you know? Not so much. The uh the situation is though is that we do have more updates about Gavan Infinity as we go through this because they did come out with some toy pictures. So we now have a better look at these machines. And as I've explained before, we have the Gavarian blade here. This is called, yeah, I believe this is called Gavarian blade. This is Gavarian, oh, it's Gavarian laser. Sorry, excuse me. It's Gavarian laser, Gavarian blade, Gavarian drill, Gavarian hook. I think that's right, or Gavarian crane, one or the other. Hook or crane, I'm not sure which one it is. And of course, good old Gavarian trigger, the base model here. And as you can see, these machines are independent right now of the Gavarian trigger, but they are intended to take the spot of this piece here, right here at the top. And they are intended to, it appears to be that they become the top part of the ship. They clip in at the top here and become the auxiliary weapon for the Gavarian, Cosmo Gavarian, which is this machine right here. We'll make that bigger so we can look at it. Yeah, the Cosmo Gavarian right here. What I like about this is that it is a very basic machine, which means that these other machines, these accessory machines, are definitely going to be adding to the color dynamic of it. You'll know exactly which machine is hooked onto this. You won't be guessing. Like in some of the Sentai, there are so many different auxiliary machines that they're barely distinguishable from each other. There's like 8 different blue ones, 8 different green ones, 8 different orange ones. You just can't tell what's going on when the whole robot's together. I think Go Onger was the one that suffered the most from this. There was something like 30 different auxiliary machines or something. It was absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. I think right behind that was Q Ranger. And again, like 25 or something machines, just some really crazy amount of machines they had in those. Again, they put a lot of like expectation on the marketplace. And I think that's what this is a reaction to. Like I talked about with Spencer offline, I really think that Q Ranger scared Toei. Q Ranger came out. They did all these Q-Tama. They did all these different accessories for it. They did all these different mecha from the show, and the toy sales sucked. Now, I don't know why. It had nothing to do with COVID. That was way before COVID. It had nothing to do with the earthquake. It was way after the earthquake. It had nothing to do with a SARS breakout or anything like that. It just seemed to be that the Q-Tama just weren't the thing that most kids wanted to collect for whatever reason. Granted, the Q-Tama weren't exactly much. They lit up when you plugged them into the Star Changer. I think that's Star Sazer, something like that, into the wrist-mounted transformation device, and they had a button on the bottom to make them light up independently. You could hit the trigger without having to load it into the Star Sazer. I think that's what it was. And so this is a reaction to that much later down the line, obviously. So they're making the toy line very compact and multi-use. So as you can see down here in these preview images next to Cosmo Gavarian, you have Gavan Infinity using these various ships as handheld weapons, much like the Gavarian trigger is being used in his regular, battle footage, battle shots we've seen. So it suggests to me that these are going to be both the toy and the robot at the same time. So you're not going to have all these, like again with Q Ranger, all these different auxiliary weapons that plug together, or like in a traditional Super Sentai where all the heroes have their own individual weapons. It appears to be that the 3 heroes of Gavan Infinity's story, they all share these 5 machines up here. So they don't have specific machines that are theirs per se. They just use them more often than the other ones. I believe that Gavan what's her name again? Gavan Luminous, the gold one. I believe she's using Gavan laser all the way over here on the right. We'll jump back to the proper image. Hold on. I believe she's using the Gavarian laser over here as her handheld weapon. We see her in some preview images carrying this. So this appears to be like her favored weapon over here. And we've seen Gavan Bushido and Gavan Infinity both handling the Gavarian trigger over here. So again, like I said, they don't appear to be like locked to particular heroes. It seems to be all of them share it. And I guess that's what this thing is at the top on all of these is it's intended to be the trigger part. As you can see, the trigger part is right here on the Gavarian trigger, the Cosmo Gavarian, if you will. And so that appears to be what these are right here is the trigger grasp, you know, the I don't know, the hilt of the gun. I'm not sure the grip of the gun. I'm sorry. I'm not sure what the name of anything is right now. But so like I said about the robot though, is that Spencer and I were talking about it, and it does look like Metroplex and Megatron had a baby. So this is obviously drawing inspiration from the Transformers line, which has been classically pretty non-stoppable. There's been a few lines that fell flat, but the Transformers have been steadily unstoppable. So this is kind of drawing on that look is what it appears to be. And again, it's a much more mature style of a robot than we're used to seeing in Super Sentai, which is they're more colorful. There's more expression and the machinery involved. Not like haha expression, but like expression is in like the machine that it's made out of is more present here. Whereas we mostly just see a giant robot with a big old gun on his arm. It's kind of hard to tell that this transforms into a spaceship slash pistol. I'm just saying that's usually how we get out of it. Usually what we get with the Sentai uh, robots. Sorry, again, just brain's falling out of my head. That's usually what the Gatai. There we go. The Sentai Gatai. That's usually what we get is something very colorful, very expressive of the contributing machines or contributing inspiration. Whereas this again is very, I'm a giant robot. Very basic, I guess. So I don't hate it. It's just the reality of it, I suppose. We have Adam Watkins asking, what if a version of Kaiketsu Zubat comes after Gavan Infinity? Kaiketsu Zubat. Oh, this guy from Gozuger, of course. If you don't know, Kaiketsu Zubat was referenced in Gozuger as the, I believe, the character that our Gozu Eagle used to portray on television. I think that's how this connects, or he was inspired. That episode went by so fast. It was a time traveling episode, right? Where they went back in time with the pop culture, #1 pop culture fan. Wasn't that what it was? It was Sumino and Old Man. I'm sorry, Old Man, Young Body, Gozu Eagle. They went back in time and found out that he was the actor that portrayed Kaiketsu Zubat. I want to say that that was the case, or maybe he was a big fan of it. I'm not sure. I get my wires crossed about those one-off episodes. Sorry about that. But yeah, so we'll jump back over here to the giant robot. Do I believe in aliens? Not the aliens that you would expect. I don't believe that there are visitors from far off because it's one of those bigger conversations that would take hours and hours to really explain in the efficient detail of why we're not seeing, aliens coming over for cheeseburgers. But the aliens I believe that we're witnessing are demons, that they're from the earth and they were expelled during the flood and they found their way back, and that's what we're dealing with. So because again, I mean, they do an awful lot of demonic stuff, and it just doesn't make sense why aliens would be screwing around, probing people, screwing around with cows, trying to terrify people and things like that. It just doesn't make sense. They just invade. Like, what would, I mean, look what happened when the Spaniards ran across the Aztecs, and just about every other South American country. Look what happened when the Portuguese ran across the South Americans. I mean, what do they, why would they stop? You know, why would they resist? Their ship is capable of interstellar travel. So there's absolutely nothing that we could throw at it to hurt it. And I just don't believe that there's a species out there that's just like, no, 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 no. We don't want to hurt them. We just want to abduct their rednecks and anally violate them and then put them back in their truck a couple hours later with a hurdy-hurdy butthole. And then they have a funny story to tell on Jerry Springer. I don't follow the logic in the alien brain. Like you do that once and you're like, okay, that's how the butt works. You don't need to do it 1,000 times, you know? That's one of the things that's in my mind about that alien thing a lot is that it's mostly to do with demons. Yeah, the Cosmo Gavarian is a ship, a gun, and a giant robot in true Sentai fashion. It's taking inspiration from uh, Tegasword. Tegasword is usually represented as an action figure in the Gozuger headquarters cafe. I forget the name of the cafe now. I'm very sorry. The cafe is usually presented in a shrine created by Gozu Tyranno. And so that is, I believe, the inspiration for this is that they want to show the machine being not only a giant robot, not only a giant vehicle that combines with a giant robot, but also a toy that you can role play with. So again, you're getting your role play toys like your swords and your blasters with your giant robot, with your combining giant robot. So again, they're trying to compress this all down so that way you don't have to buy a lot of toys in order to have the immersive experience of being a fan of Gavan Infinity. So I don't hate it, but I also know that this is one of those things where, like, if you're not into the gun, it's gonna kill your interest in the rest of the toy line. They might put out the Gavarian blade that Gavan Bushido has, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Um, yeah, calling all Autobots, roll out. Yeah, it does look like he's saying, you know, we are here, we are waiting. Yeah, it does kind of look like that. Adam Watkins asks, so Project Red is like Super Sentai spin-off franchise, but it's kind of adopting Kamen Rider's Lone Hero styles, but they're Red Heroes playing homage to Sentai Rangers. Well, they're not so much Red Heroes. Red seems to stand for um, Record of Extraordinary Dimensions, as the intro suggests. And so while our main protagonist is in red, he appears to be part of a team, but that team is not known to each other. Just to kind of go over the top of what happened with Gavan Infinity. Let me see if I can find a good promotional image to put up while I'm talking about this. Gavan Infinity is taking place in a part of the universe or multiverse, if you will, in which the heroes. Here's a good. So what's happening is that, as I predicted with this in my videos about it, you could check them over on the video tab. Von Infinity is the super space sheriff, meaning super space as in the multiverse observational police force. So if you could imagine the multiverse being spread out in front of a group of people, sort of like how DC Universe represents them with the Watchers, I think they were called. Just a big old tube in the middle of a room full of Earth stacked on top of each other. I wouldn't say it'd be that simple, but this is appears to be an experimental ship that Gavan Infinity is alone in piloting, and it's capable of what's known as a D jump, which is dimension jump. This ship is capable of the dimension jump, which allows Gavan Infinity to be able to travel into the other dimensions where he meets Gavan Bushido, the silver one, and Gavan Luminous, the gold one. They are both, as you can see in the intro there, if you want to zap back there real quick, they are both represented in very contrasting environments. Gavan Bushido is shown to us in sort of a Batman, Gotham City, very heavy shadows, lots of blue being present, demonstrating that he is a very sorrowful character. His battery, I forget the name of it, the emo gear, right? The emo gear, whatever it is. The emo gear is his is powered by sadness, tragedy, that sort of thing, whereas Gavan Infinity, as you can see on screen here, he is powered by rage. So his battery is powered by rage. Now, these Immorgear appear to be like a finisher booster. I'm not going to say that they're going to get rider kicks, but it's something like that is what the battery appears to be capable of doing. The battery's also used to summon the giant robot. So perhaps they have many batteries, three batteries to, two finishers and a giant robot, two robots and one finisher. Not quite sure. It's not quite clear yet. But for Gavan Luminous, she is shown in a world of like Golden Dawn. She's standing over what appears to be a very modern, not futuristic, because usually in Sentai, futuristic has a lot of solar punk elements in it. Feel free to Google what solar punk is. So you kind of got a visual of what I'm looking at if you're not familiar. But usually Sentai leans into that solar punk aesthetic with a lot of soft angles, a lot of glass, a lot of presence of trees and things like that. So you're not necessarily getting that with hers. This seems to be just a general modern look of a skyline of not necessarily Tokyo, but also not New York City either. And it's all bathed in a very bright sunrise gold. And so what that tells me is she's coming from a world of high hope, a world where heroes and villains are very clearly on one side or the other. There's no gray area or overlap. Heroes are quite clearly happy, motivated, pleasant people. And then the villains are obviously still not as evil as they could be in Gavan Bushido's world, which is very dark, of course. And her power, her Immorgear, is charged up by joy. So I'm really not sure how you get happy in the middle of a fight, but it's one of those things. And so in order, again, like I said, in order to activate the robot, in order to perform a finisher, it's not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what the Immorgear are used for. That's the name of the batteries, invisible battery, by the way. I'm not really sure what that's exactly supposed to do, but we've seen in the preview material that one of them at least goes inside of the Gavarian trigger to make it grow into a giant robot. So, but that's the three of them. And we don't know of any other Gavans that are joining this. We've heard that there would be a white witch involved in this, but as we're looking at the preview material coming out of Gavan Infinity these days, that white witch character appears to probably be a code name for some type of assistant or some type of AI, something that's not got a corporeal actor involved with it, like a physical actor involved with it. Then again, White Witch could be the code name of the commander that's in charge of sending Gavan Infinity into the multiverse in the first place. But it's clear that this White Witch is not Gavan White, where we were previously led to believe that this new series, before it had a name and a shape, was going to have a white wizard and a black wizard. And of course, we were supposed to get a green character and a yellow character in this as well. So, no, not yellow. Blue. It's supposed to be red, blue, black, white, green. Those are the colors that were supposed to come through. So, but they didn't. So that isn't how it worked out. So the leakers got some confusing information. So it might be that they got confused with the Gavarian Robo here, the different machines that are coming through. Because as you can see, there would be a green, there would be a purple, that sort of thing. There's black is obviously present here. Blue is obviously present here. So maybe they got confused about that. And there's a later giant robo coming through that's called White Witch, maybe. I'm not sure. But that's as far as I can explain on what the premise of all of this is. As far as its connection to Sentai, I can't really explain if that's actually going to be too tangible. In the history of the Gavan series, it's a transforming hero story, so it's not too different from what you see in Sentai and Kamen Rider, but it tended to lean more into the stoicism of this type of law enforcement work, uh, as opposed to sort of the brute force nature of the Kamen Rider, the lone brute force. How did Margaret describe that? Margaret Lodge was the Not she was the president of Fox Kids. She was going around trying to find new shows for Fox Kids, and she liked Kamen Rider, but he was what did she call him? A roughneck or something like that. They were he was a little too violent for what they wanted to put on for afternoon television is what I'm trying to stress. And of course, Gavan was out of regular syndication at that point, hadn't been on the air for a while by 1993. So they of course didn't bring that through. Um, but Gavan usually leaned into the stoicism. The space sheriff stories were more about the stoic space hero. And I use space very loosely because most of their missions took place on Earth. So that's how that goes. Uh, and I can't say that it's a spin-off. It seems to simply be like one of those coconut with the golf ball underneath it tricks at New York. In New York, we're like, whoops, there's Gavan Infinity under there, not a Super Sentai. You guessed wrong, but you still get a prize, you know? Because as I said earlier, when they put out Gozuger, they weren't sure that this was going to be the end of Sentai. They didn't have a plan for what was going to come after Gozuger solidify. They had a lot of options, but they hadn't committed to Gavan Infinity when they first started advertising Gozuger. That again, that just blows my mind because Toei is a multi-billion-dollar multinational company. That is a crazy amount of like running the clock out for like a corporation like that. Wow, that is like think of it like this way. It's like if Disney came out and said, "We didn't have a plan after Infinity War." And then Endgame showed up, right? Like that would be like that happening. You know, that they didn't have an idea of what it was going to be, what it was supposed to do. So there's a new Red Super Sentai Origami Red. I don't think I got that right, but he's from a drawing from a kid. Yes, exactly. And that's a great segue into our next topic. But I did want to catch Jacob in the chat. Hey, man, he says pre-nerfed Lord Zed. Yeah, yeah, they nerfed Zed pretty hard. Yeah, he was just too angry, I guess, for Fox Kids, you know, and that was what it was. Really, it scared kids, I guess. But anyway, back to Origa Ranger. All right, so Origa Ranger is not a real Sentai, despite what this visual is showing you. I don't believe blue, yellow, black, and purple will appear in any Toei production. This appears to be an AI generated sample based off of Origa Red's costume. So someone got a hold of Origa Red's design and started spinning it off into a multitude of others. And you could tell it's AI right here because the Yellow Ranger has a split in the middle of her chest piece, whereas the rest of them don't. Blue and red don't have it. Black doesn't have it, but purple does, and yellow does. So this is again, AI isn't perfect. It probably never will be in these types of situations because a human eye would notice these things and the AI is just sort of trying to complete the job. But I just wanted to attract your attention to that this is AI. As good as it looks, it is AI. I didn't make this. Someone else made it, so don't give me credit for it, but this is real deal stuff that's actually happening out there. Now, we have the whole team together in this formation. And again, I have to stress this is not real. To my knowledge, Origa Red will not appear with a full team. He is a singular hero designed by a child named Coda. I think his name is Coda. And so he's this is a production that is made with AI, and it's very convincing because again, as I've demonstrated before, you can create a character model that is front, side, and back, and the AI will translate that into any environment you like. You just have to get the lighting right between all of your heroes, and this person clearly did. Google Nano Banana, Google Gemini. There's many different generators that can take in references and place them in environments with light corrected effects on them so that they look genuine to that environment. A lot of the time, too, you can take an actual Super Sentai photo, like an actual promotional photo, and give it to the AI and tell it to recreate that with your characters in it, and it will place them in that same environment with the same type of lighting as though they were there the whole time. So that could be the way that this person is getting this even lighting situation on the heroes this person has designed. I don't remember what comes after this one. That's right. We'll make this a little bit bigger. So again, this person who's doing this, not me, and I want to stress this is not real. As real as it looks, it's not. So as you can see, these explosions in the background, Riga Red is featured his famous origami sword and apparently an origami shield now. It doesn't look bad. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't look bad. But you can see here the Origa Blue, which is based on the turtle, for whatever reason, has the spinning giant ninja blade that Sasuke had. And it's really unfortunate that his hand is melting into it. We also have Origa Purple here, who, rather than using her size, is kicking a villain. Of course, this person went through and generated their own villains as well. And you have Origa Yellow here, who is using a spear fan, is what it appears to be, to battle a very short villain. He's tiny, very tiny guy over here. It's kind of unfair for these little 4 foot tall, 3 foot tall monster guys to be stuck fighting full sized Super Sentai heroes, but whatever. And then, of course, you have Origa Black over here sporting the axe that he has here. And of course, that doesn't look very origami-y, but you know, the AI is doing the best that it can with this stuff. I do want to stress that we do have some more actual better looking photos of the characters' isolations, if you will. So we have Origa Red with a little bit of a write-up here. There's a heat power. And this is Akane Orisuka, as this person has named him. It wields an AI-equipped sword. I forget what the name of that is. For high-speed combat, a passionate leader who always stands at the forefront and inspires his team with a fiery heart. Again, fake. This isn't real. We have Origa White. This appears to be the 6th Ranger as far as this person's estimation, their design is going. The character appears to be fused of the crane and the wolf. So I'm not quite sure what the inspiration is for this character, and she fights with an umbrella. So either way, this is Orihime Uri. I think that's Urgi. I think I've said that right. Orihime Uri. And she controls the power of thunder, the white crane origami, confusing enemies with lightning fast movements. A calm and elegant warrior. Good for her, right? Good for her. And of course, we also have the rest of the team with this. We have Origa Yellow. This is Sorashi, and apparently Sorashi does not have a last name. This character has the power of sand, and it has a weakness for luxury. Confounds enemy with graceful sand-like dances. The team's mood maker. And so we have here Mizuru Kamiya, and he's confounding enemies with fluid, flowing movements like a stream. A calm and composed strategist who controls water powers and supports the team. As you can see, he's got turtles. We love turtles. He's got some turtles. His ninja blade got a little small though. His ninja blade. So again, this is how you tell it's AI, because the weapons change size, the weapons change design, and things like that as they're refined down. A lot of the mistakes that I've made in the past as I, reach a good conclusion, a good render, and I'll just go with that rather than pushing it further. And usually when I push it further, it's better. That's one of my AI generating problems, is I take the good part as opposed to pushing for the best. And this person, again, is continuing to refine their design. So I don't think it's bad to do this. I just think that it's something to notice going forward, because there will be a lot of fraudulent Sentai going around in the absence of the real Sentai. So try to keep your thinking cap on so you don't get excited for something that's never going to happen. We have Origa Purple with the wind power. This is Hikari Oriha. She respects her father, possesses the highest intellect in IPI. Not sure what IPI is, but controls wind powers and always acts with calm composure. Everybody's pretty chill on the team. If you can't tell, they're pretty chill, pretty calm, pretty collected, pretty chill. Haven't run across anybody that's just a flat out asshole yet. That could be Origa Black. Now let's find out. So we have Origa Black, and this is Kage Yamimori. He controls the power of void and returns everything to nothingness. A calm and collected strategist who overwhelms enemies with quiet intimidation. And his axe changed again. Now he's got a double-headed axe as opposed to the single-headed axe from the previous preview information. But yeah, so far nobody on the team's a raging asshole. So that's, I don't know. Everybody's pretty calm, pretty collected, a lot of strategery going on. I guess you have to be, in order to be an origami lover, you have to be pretty calm. You can't be somebody that's impatient, certainly. You'll screw up your origami, right? You screw up your origami. But that's the team. That's the team. I think it's fun. It's fun to do this, but I really wish that they were marking this as not real as opposed to dressing it up with Toei's logos and things like that. I try to avoid doing that. Like, I'll slap the Gavan Infinity logo on occasionally, but I really try to avoid that because as much as I enjoy playing around with these designs, they're not mine. And I don't want to confuse people any more than I am already with playing around with these designs. That's why I try to leave out these identifiers with the stuff that I make. Even the music video is cut in such a way that it is making you know that this is a music video, not official from Toei. There's nothing on there, no disclaimer, no nothing. I even cut out the Toei logo at the beginning just to make sure that nobody's getting it in their head that this is official from the Toei company. Because as we go forward with AI, it's going to get harder and harder to tell. Like I said, fraudulent Sentai are going to be much easier to make going forward. If you can see right now what these video generators are capable of, just at the edge, right, the beginning edge of what they're capable of, within a year, you'll be able to generate whole episodes. I don't know what Toei is going to do. Pretty soon, the fans are going to be producing things on their own that Toei could never do on their own, could never do with their own power. So I don't know what they're going to do. I guess they could sue the pants off the video generators and the image generators, but you can't sue them from making dudes in spandex with helmets. You can't make them stop. So I just don't know. I don't know what they'll do, but it won't be too long before it's going to get a lot more confusing than we already have. So Sakura Mita says, for a game theme idea, a fix is make gamers isekai by accident, cast a spell in a game by digital magic casting. Fantasy world is all real and natural as main antagonists slowly use technology. Yeah. I think that would be fun. You could probably combine that with how Gavan Infinity's story is going, in fact, and probably make a pretty good gacha game. You probably just generate infinite Gavan Infinities, different variations of it for the gacha game, in fact, or different villains, heroes. Not sure. But I think that's a pretty solid idea, Sakura. Give it a whirl. Sakura Mita says, I hope you take a break. I know some of my old classmates saw your MMPR Hollow Earth and not interested. I guess the death of Super Sentai is hurting MMPR more than expected. Well, Mighty Morphin is just so dry and done. That's the problem. And of course, according to the rumors coming out about Disney's reboot, they're doing it again. So it's not going to stop. It's just Mighty Morphin forever. If you were a fan of any other part of the Power Rangers franchise, screw you, So that's why I'm trying to make sure that Hollow Earth is going to conclude on a high note. So I can at least say that I put my best into it rather than just crapping out the final chapter to get it done. It's one of those things that's like, it's a personal pride thing. I don't care anymore if people like it. It got really annoying for me for a while there when people were making death threats against me, sending me videos of people being shot because I posted that AI made intro for Hollow Earth with the tiger running at the camera at the beginning, the Tiger Zord. It's like, it's sending me videos of dudes being shot. Like, it's like, okay, man, it's just AI and it's Power Rangers. Please calm down. I didn't fake war footage, okay? Gosh. But that's again, so that got under my skin for a while when people were just hating it because it was AI. But now I've just kind of stopped caring if those people exist in the world or not. And I just want to complete this so I have it done as something that I did. Um, I know that that sounds dumb, that like people out there have way better things to be doing with their time, like putting food on the table, making sure the rent is paid. But for me, I just want to make sure that the dumb little fanfic that I'm writing doesn't end stupid. And that's hard to do when my brain is overworked on 10,000 different other things. So I appreciate it. I really do. I'm sorry that your friends didn't like it, but I understand Mighty Morphin is pretty dead. It's a hard sell to completely recast everybody again and try to take them from episode 0 all the way up to a brand new adventure. And I did. I just dropped the hammer on that. I didn't try to draw out the seasons and explain the intricacies of how different it was. I just introduced these first 2 seasons and then bam, slapped everybody into the Hollow Earth in order to give it a brand new feel to it, thinking that, if you took the Mighty Morphin crew and threw them into the Hollow Earth, gave them a new costume set and a new environment to work with, not just dumb old Angel Grove again, gave them a new villain, that kind of thing, that it would, revitalize the interest in the story. But I get it. It's over. So don't get me wrong. I'm not mad at the people from your school that don't like it. That's not it at all. I just want to make sure that it comes out with something that I at least don't hate myself. Yep. Gavan. Gavan. Gotta love it. Jacob's here and he says Kling 2.5 and Juan 2.2 are the 2 best engines that you can use for animation for free right now. Yep, they do pretty well. I use Kling 2.5 for a lot of the Power Ranger animations that I've made. I'm using it for the Power Rangers Star Strikers intro. The Star Strikers, of course, were my interpretation, adaptation rather, of Gokaiger. And so I'm trying to be very careful with it because Gokaiger came over here and had a really hard time. Because Disney, if you don't know this, let me just kind of pause this for a second. Pause. Disney has rules. Neo Saban had rules. And of course, Hasbro had rules. And they all kind of kept the same rules, that Power Rangers can't be represented as criminals. And pirates, by definition, are criminals. But again, Simon and his crew and the people in charge back in the Neo Saban days, and I don't think it was Bruce Kalish. I think he was let go when Disney shelved Power Rangers before Saban offered to buy it off of them. I don't believe that Bruce Kalish was the one that was in charge of Neo Saban. I don't remember who was, but they didn't have any vision. And I still don't understand why they adapted Gokaiger if they weren't going to go all the way with it. And even then, they went out and they recorded all this stupid stuff in Japan to match up the footage, and they didn't need to. Not that Japan's stupid, but they didn't need to match that stuff up. If they weren't going to commit to it, don't. Like they couldn't bring through all the Sentai teams that Gokaiger was referencing. So what are they doing? Why bother adapting it at all if you're not going to commit to it? It ended up becoming a huge mess for the super mode for Megaforce, of all things, were pirates. And then they transform again? Like, that's a 3-layer transformation of 3 motherfuckers that have nothing to do with each other. What are you doing? What are you doing, Neo Saban? So that's why I'm doing Star Strikers and why the intro is taking so long, because I'm trying to compact the story into the intro. So when you watch that 1 minute and 55 seconds, I think it is, you know why this is different, why it's going to commit to the Sentai, why it's going to make sure that those suits that never existed in Power Ranger lore now exist in Power Ranger lore. So you don't have to go hacking, cutting scenes up in order to make sure you're not referencing Turbo Ranger as opposed to Power Rangers Turbo, which is Car Ranger, not Turbo Ranger. So you're referencing 5-Man, not trying to make up excuses for who the hell 5-Man is. So that's my pause on why I'm taking so long with these productions. I'm very sorry. I just want to make sure that it's correct. Is White the Crane Wolf? I guess, but I don't know what a Crane Wolf is. I've never heard of that combination. Again, I'm not too deep into the yokai, Japanese demons, so I don't know. I only know like the really headliner ones, like the kitsune, the oni, and a couple other ones I can't think of the name of right now, like the spooky cloud thing that Haunter, excuse me, Ghastly, the Pokemon was based off of the sphere that haunts you, the smoking sphere. You see it in Japanese anime a lot. It's like a floating fireball. It's a spirit of some kind. It has a very specific name, but I can't think of it at the moment. I haven't heard of a crane and a wolf being combined into a new mythological creature. I don't I don't think I've heard of a legend in Japan that references the crane and the wolf being a team either. So it's why it stood out to me as bizarre because I haven't heard of a dog either, or a fox or whatever that canine like origami there on the bottom could be. But I could be wrong. I'm not that deep in it, the Japanese demonology. I don't know. And as I've stressed before, demons in Japan aren't like demons in Christianity. The demons that they reference there are not always evil to the core. There are very evil demons in Japan, but demon is sort of a catch-all for things that aren't human and aren't gods. So it's the space between that. It's an earthbound supernatural creature that usually catches the name demon as a catch-all. So, and again, I am an outsider. I don't speak Japanese. I don't live there. I don't regularly communicate with people who do. I have off and on communications with them. I study from afar, and the information I get can be very wrong. I absolutely concede that. I'm on the opposite side of the planet from these people. The Google engine is super overrated and super overpriced. Oh yeah, no, yeah. Google VO is just stupid. And Sora too. I've never had good luck with Sora. I don't know how people are having good luck with Sora. It must be straight out of Chat GPT that they get a good result. I'm constantly getting limbs just melting into each other. Stupid. Uh yeah, the Power Ranger reboot. So I realized the other day, this is like the attempt to revive the Herbie franchise when Lindsay Lohan was entering Herbie into the NASCAR races. And this appears to be that same effort of taking something so ancient, basically totally forgotten by the pop culture as sort of like a relic, something that's fun to look back on, but just largely is out of the zeitgeist outside of nostalgia. It's a member berry sort of franchise. Was the Love Bug? This was involving the VW Beetle that was either possessed or had its own sort of ghost in the machine, if you will, self-driving car before it was run by technology. And so the Love Bug had at least three movies that I know of. No, four. There was Love Bug, Herbie and Monaco, Herbie Goes to Mexico, and then Herbie Reloaded. I think that was the one that Lindsay Lohan was in. So there's four Love Bug movies. And that one with Lindsay Lohan was like 30 years after Herbie in Mexico. And Herbie in Mexico was like 10 years after Herbie in Monte Carlo. I think that's what it was Herbie in Monte Carlo. And that was supposed to be the end of the story because Herbie met a wife. He met a girl car and they fell in love in France and he saved her life. You got to watch it. It's a really crazy story if you're not paying attention to the dialogue and you're just paying attention to what the cars are doing. It's crazy. He not only did he find a lady car that's likewise possessed like he is, that Jim Douglas, the driver, found a woman who is likewise just used to having a ghost car, a ghost possessed car or whatever, just used to having a car with a mind of its own as well, who has also brought her car to Monaco to race. It's just crazy. And at no point is the federal government like, hold up, you guys have a car that can do all of this, be destroyed, and then just bounce back from it completely. And what? We need this. How do we destroy the Russians with this? At no point is the government involved. It's really just a slice of like that time in that utopia in the middle 70s to late 70s of just this utopic mind about the world in Hollywood. No, of course the government wouldn't try to use Herbie to kill the Russians. No, there were a slew of TV movies about Herbie as well. And that's where this Power Rangers reboot really feels like it's rooted for me, is that somebody through the looking glass of history has said, let's just go back and bring back Power Ranger, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers again. I mean, that's what gets the most Google searches. So let's just bring it back again. What could go wrong, guys? Let's just do 5 teenagers with attitude in Angel Grove all over again. Apparently, they're supposed to start filming this train wreck, this Power Rangers reboot, in April, somewhere in London. However, they haven't even solidified the cast list yet. So I don't know how that's supposed to work, because you don't get a call from your agent like, hey, you're going to get to London in 2 weeks. You don't. That's a bad thing. That does not make for a good company, good production company, if you're casting people weeks before you're supposed to start filming them. They need a lot of time to clear their schedule, get ready to spend 6 to 8 months in another country, and then fucking rehearse. They need to rehearse the damn lines before they get in front of the camera to spew them out. Now, this again could be like what James Gunn told us, that there's just filming sections of a production and then going through later on and stitching them together into a story and just dumping things that don't fit the current narrative, then adding them back later, like what happened with The Rise of Skywalker, which I believe was 4 different scripts combined into one, could be more. It had like 12 writers. Yeah, people are going to hate my project. No, I don't think they're going to hate it. I'm not going to spoil it or anything for you, Jacob. You're more than welcome to tell people in the chat if you want to. But I truly believe what you're creating is going to turn a lot of heads, not just because of the subject matter by itself, but the symbolism of that subject matter. It's very Kubrick. And I don't think they're prepared for Digimon to carry the message that you're conveying there. I mean, I wasn't. When you explained it to me, I was like, holy in Digimon, no less. And of course, it makes sense the way you've explained how the story progresses. So I am anxious to see you, bring it to life, get it together there with what you wanted to do. Not you get it together, but the story get together, Especially with what you showed me a little earlier today with what happened there with the plane crash. I think that's okay to say that there was a plane crash. Okay. I haven't given it away yet. So there we go. Ibiki Gamer says you should make a live stream with you and Spencer so that he can tell you about my ideas from Marvel and DC. Well, as it turns out, Spencer's not feeling too well today. He's got some type of bug that's going around. It's also claimed Nerdigan. So as it stands right now, as far as folks on the Bounding YouTube channel, I am the last man standing that hasn't succumbed from the December, January bug that's going around. So the only thing I've done is just keep eating spicy stuff. I've been eating green chilies like they're going out of style. So eat more green chilies, I guess. I don't know. We have Sagittarius Seiya here saying, Power Rangers Samurai didn't bother to bring an Asian actor for the Red Samurai Ranger? Of course not. Why would they? That would make sense. See, what really bothers me is that they kept the same type of Lord and clan structure for this, for Power Rangers Samurai. And so you have a white guy and a black guy, and the black guy is subordinate to the white guy and calls the white guy Lord. And it's like, I don't know, Hayam Saban, how it is where you come from, sir, but that's not going to work here. It's not going to work. Especially when Jaden just looked like an overgrown Justin Bieber as well. Like, they couldn't have picked a worse hairstyle for that guy. But yeah, Power Rangers Samurai was another one that was just another completely missed opportunity. Maybe in another time when I finally have Star Strikers ironed out, I'll go back and fix Samurai. But they really tried to bring through the Samurai clan stuff, but because Power Rangers is so watered down in order to hold that Y7 rating, it's so hard to convey what's actually the drama in Shinkenger, because you can't talk about people being killed. You can't talk about a character being brought to the edge of their life. They can show up with bandages and stuff. They can occasionally have a little bit of blood on them, but even then, that's really pushing it, I forget which one. I think it was Lightspeed, where they had the Life Force Megazord that was literally draining the spirit energy out of the Rangers when they used it. that was really pushing the ratings that these were suicidal heroes at that point, that they were going to go kill themselves to defeat a villain. So that's, it's one of those things where like they the censorship in the United States over these subjects just can't house the Super Sentai plot lines, and it ends up obliterating what Power Rangers is able to produce because the subject matter coming out of Japan is way above what Power Rangers age group is able to have communicated to them, which makes me worry. Well, I wouldn't say worry, but which makes me alert rather to what Disney Plus is doing with their reboot of the Power Rangers. Is that it's not going to be anything like the Sentai we've seen before, and it won't be anything like the 2017 Power Rangers either. I truthfully do not believe that these people, the Percy Jackson guys in charge of this, have room to put that kind of mature subject matter in the story. Hasbro's trying to revive this as a children's brand. They are not trying to move this into adult territory. And so that, like, they stomped all over the Milers. They hit them with a cease and desist order because their production, this is the Ninja Kids, when they were doing the Ninja Kids Power Rangers story there, they were hired by Playmates, which again had Hasbro's blessing to create some type of web series for the promotion of Power Rangers Reignition, a Playmates exclusive Power Rangers toy line. But apparently, the Milers Ninja Kids production was too professional looking. And so Hasbro said, no, you can't air it. Hit him with a cease and desist order. So I'm really alert to what's gone on with this Disney Plus production, because if a web series made by people who can only part-time the creation of this while they're globe-trotting, teaching children to be, active and learn martial arts and do cool stuff with their bodies, that they don't really have time to sit around and make these productions. They are traveling all over the world doing these types of acrobatics, martial arts, and stuff like that, demonstrations. I had a couple of interactions with the father there, Shane Myler, where he was over in Thailand with the family doing all these productions and stuff, doing these physical demonstrations of what you can do with martial arts and your body and things like that. And so, yeah, it's just absolutely crazy about what the Disney Plus thing is going to be. Like, there's so many mixed signals coming out of it right now. Okay, I'm not sure I see the wolf present in her design. I definitely see the crane design, but I guess the wolf is present somewhere in there. Yeah, Nickelodeon again was another one that didn't really know what to do with the Power Rangers, because Nickelodeon is classically a more tongue-in-cheek joke sort of uh, channel publisher. I'm not really sure what to call them when it comes production house, maybe. Nickelodeon's productions have really leaned into cartoons and teen dramas, teen comedy dramas. iCarly, the Amanda Bynes show before she went crazy, Victorious, quite a few of the other ones as well. Were all really aimed toward haha funny moment, haha situational drama, whereas Power Rangers is committed to combat. And I don't think Nickelodeon has had a show like that. I think Allison Mack was probably the closest to a Power Ranger production that they got. I don't remember them having. They had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for a little while. Maybe that was as close as they got to it. But again, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are also very tongue in cheek and funny haha moments. Whereas the Power Rangers, again, they have those moments, but the Power Rangers has really leaned into the melodrama of trying to save the world and remain an upright citizen in the process, like remember to recycle, that sort of stuff, that sort of moral at the end storytelling. Whereas again, a lot of the Nickelodeon productions are like the Wild Thornberries, Rugrats, that sort of stuff that's very not so much engaged in the dark end of storytelling. So, um, that looks like the model from Kaku Ranger. Oh yeah, it does look like Ninja White there, the leader of the team. I've forgotten her name now. I'm sorry. Uh, Jacob says Lindsay Lohan literally peaked in that movie. Yeah, it really was. Like, what? How about that? Right? The Herbie the Love Bug was the last good movie that Lindsay Lohan was in. Isn't that funny? Uh, if I watched the new Samurai Troopers, that would be the Ronin Warriors. I haven't, and mostly because I just don't like the character designs. The armor looks great, but I just don't like the character designs. I miss Sage being a blonde guy, and I missed, I think it's Rio as the leader, RYO, Ryu, might be Ryu. The leader, I miss him having his big mullet hair. That was I'm just a sucker for that 80s look, and I don't understand why they abandoned it to make them all look like K-pop singers, but I get that they did that to, please the modern aesthetic, but they kind of look like VTuber characters to me. And so every now and then, as I'm watching the previews of it, I keep expecting them to look directly into the camera and ask, "What do you think, chat?" It feels, I don't know, they feel over designed, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And that's just a civilian end of it. The armors look great. And I'm sure as they go forward with, the show and we get them, I think it's the White Tiger armor that Rio gets. That is one of my favorite armors in the entire original series anyway, was the White Tiger armor. It was very cool. It kind of made him look like a Gundam. It was really fun. Of course, again, they had a lot of square features on their armor to begin with. So um, we have Nerdy Texan Accountant here, member of the channel. He says, I've been watching Space Sheriff Gavan. Yeah, it's fun. It's a pretty fun show. Like I said, they lean into the stoicism, so it does cut a different tone between Kamen Rider and Super Sentai. It's not as hard, loner, grit as Kamen Rider, but it also has that stoic, like gunslinger walking into a town full of ne'er-do-wells, a white hat walking into a room full of black hats, if you will, if you know how cowboy movies used to work. And has that kind of energy of like a lone lawman bringing justice to a lawless frontier. It has that energy to it. And I I I can see how that's going to like really play well with the current like attitude in Japan around, the crime rate that's been going on over there. Like they've never seen this level of destruction to the vending machines, let alone everything else. It's heartbreaking to see what's gone on with the vending machines over in Japan. This is so for America, we have a very engaged like hat collecting culture, if you will. Have a very engaged hat collecting culture. There is a culture in Japan that's very engaged in going to these different vending machines because they're just scattered all over the place. I think there's something like 4 vending machines for every 1 person in Japan is how the number works out. It's not like 11 or 10, like the crazy number. I think there's 4 vending machines per person in Japan, and they're just everywhere. They carry everything. Uh, if it'll fit in the vending machine, it's being vended out to you. And they do hot pizza, they do hot meals, they do seafood in the vending machine, believe it or not. And I wouldn't trust it, but I'm an American, and our convenience food has always been very sketchy over here. There's a cartoon called Futurama. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. Wink, wink. There's an episode where Fry eats a truck stop egg salad sandwich and ends up with worms. So over here, I mean, it's a flip of a coin if that hot dog has been in there all week or just a couple of hours. In the steamer has been there all week or a couple of hours. Over in Japan, everything is usually pretty well maintained. The fresh food end of it obviously would be maintained, but I wouldn't have a meal like a hot meal from a vending machine. The ingredients certainly, and I think that's another one too. You can just order out of a vending machine like the like shrink wrap vacuum packed ingredients to a meal and then make it at home by yourself. Um, I did learn that the vending machines as well in Japan, there were never vending machines that sold dirty schoolgirl underwear. It was a joke. Kind of like how we have those like snot gummies in the little 50-cent machines that like stick to everything, little sticky hand stuff. That's what that was. That was a joke, and it didn't have any biohazardous stuff in it, human excrement, none of that. It was just stained with food coloring, and there's a little disclaimer down on the bottom that says this is not real. It's all for a joke. So For like 20 years now, Japan's been smeared over a fake controversy this whole time. And believe it or not, because this was in the like adult section of the oh no, I've forgotten the name of it now. It's in Tokyo. It's not Shibuya. It's not there's another district that's kind of shady, I guess, that is where this a lot of this sort of adult material is sold. And that's where the rumor about this came from because there was a machine there that had these fake soiled underwear, schoolgirl underwear in it. So that's where the I guess it got legitimacy is because it came from a shady side of the adult market. So but yeah, it's really sad, you know. So they're definitely going to like absorb this law enforcement angle. Definitely. Definitely. So they could be doing a pilot episode. I'm not sure that it's going to be a pilot episode. I think it's going to be even shorter than that. We're probably just going to get the first 5 minutes of the episode where we'll get the intro. So we'll meet the cast, and then we're going to get the 5 minutes of um, the Gavan Infinity character played by Kamen Rider Wizards actor. And he will be sort of introducing himself, that sort of thing, and going through the process of getting into the Gavarian trigger and entering the multiverse from super space. So because that's how I read super space. If you don't, super space to me sounds like multiverse. Like he's up here in the multiverse, looking down on the multiverse. It enters the multiverse from outside. Super space is the area outside of the multiverse. Here in our realm, we call that the bulk. For some reason, when we talk about multiverse theory, the space between worlds, the infinite space we assume is between universes, we call that the bulk. I say that we isn't like I'm in the middle of doing research. No, it's just conventional knowledge about the multiverse theory addresses this as the bulk. They're obviously going to not use that. They came up with super space, which is more fun in my opinion. You got regular space and you got super space. All right. Um, Jacob says his story is 2/3 done and he's working on the final 1/3, 2027 episodes. Well, you got more episodes than Gavan Infinity so far. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. Sakura Mita says, speaking of Power Rangers Samurai, they didn't make Jaden a descendant of William Adams, an English samurai, because I don't think they did their research. Most of Power Rangers Samurai just feels like they're trying so hard to try and bring through the samurai aesthetic without importing the culture of the samurai. Like they wanted to mimic it with the I believe it's Kenpo sticks. I think that's what they're called. The Kenpo sticks where they're just kendo, excuse me, the kendo sticks were just whacking the kendo sticks at each other all the time. And that was like, yeah, that's samurai culture. And that was it. That was the best they could come up with. And having them sit on their knees, that's right. Having them sit on their knees. That was like, oh yes, this is samurai culture. Again, it's one of those things where they couldn't even explain why Jaden had a rivalry with Rokusho. I think that's his name. He was the skull in Power Rangers version. He was the skull guy. Maybe I'm thinking of another villain, but he was the guy that had the skull and the bone flame. And they couldn't explain why the two of these characters had such an intense rivalry between each other. They just couldn't. One day, this character wanted to fight Jaden so bad, and that was it. That was the only explanation they ever gave. And I think that was the actor that played Cole in Wild Force that played Rokusho. I could have his name wrong. It might be from Metabots now that I think about it. Who was that guy? Hold on, I'll look it up. Where's your samurai villain? Let's see. Who was that guy? Who was that guy? Decker. That's right, Decker. Decker was the bad guy. And he was obsessed with defeating Jaden, and they just couldn't explain that because I don't think they really wanted to try and delve into what honor was for a samurai. and why it was important to be the best, why there would be such intense and heated competition over who has the best blade, over who has the best technique, over who is just generally the best samurai. That is just really not a good way to convey that to kids because the context behind that is violence and death is the outcome. That contest leads to the demise of Decker. So it's hard to convey to kids like this is actually an admirable thing. Because again, over the years, the censors have really neutered Power Rangers' ability to move the Sentai context through. I'm not sure that the most of the events in Time Force would even be able to be aired today. Go back and watch Time Force. There's a lot of evil shit happening in that show that I just flatly don't think would even come close to a PG-13 rating. Like Rancic survives an abortion in a society that's built on eugenics. And that's just the first 5 minutes of the episode, of episode 1. Let alone all the death and destruction that happens in there. Like half the show, Eric and Wes are covered in blood. Like they literally have blood running down their cheeks, stuff like that. Like they really went to town on Time Force. Like there's a lot of heavy storytelling. Like the core context of Time Force's story is that in the future, there is a eugenic society that has purified human DNA to the point that we kill genetic inferiors. And they're the heroes. They're the good guys. I don't think that show could be aired on the Fox Kids block in this era. I just don't. There's no way. Where does the spirit energy drain? A bag? The spirit energy. The spirit energy. I don't know. I don't know what the spirit energy would be. Are we talking about the more gears for Gavan Infinity, the batteries? They drain into the batteries. So like all of Gavan Infinity's energy, rage energy drains into his battery, and that gives him for whatever power that grants him. Like I said, I don't know if it's a finisher or to summon the giant robot or to do a finisher and summon the giant robot. I don't know. I don't know if they have multiple batteries or just one. It appears that they only have one battery, but I could be wrong. Y7 rating does hurt Power Rangers. You're right, Nerdy Texan. Excuse me. You're right, Nerdy Texan accountant. The Y7 rating really does. And again, in order for Disney to fit into that rating system, I'm not sure if streaming series really need to do that because I don't know if the FCC has passed on that requirement for a rating system in streaming because I don't watch that stuff anymore. I can't bother with it. I haven't had a Netflix account since Cuties, and I think the last series I actually got all the way through on a streaming service was Kamen Rider Black Sun. That was the last one I got all the way through before I just got so pissed off with the whole thing. That was a good one though. It was a good pissed off. But yeah, so I don't know if they had to carry that through. But again, Disney Plus, Hasbro wants to revive this for children. So I would not expect the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to be much of anything. I really don't. I don't know how they're going to translate all that violence through. That's been the big problem with Power Rangers from the beginning, is the violence. The Moms of America almost killed the show multiple times in the 90s. And that's just how it goes. Hibiki Gamer says, censorship sucks, not in America, but the whole world. Yeah, well, let's see. Like 7 different countries now are trying to ban several different platforms, not just X. Australia managed to ban everything but Blue Sky for people under 16. Curious that Blue Sky was left out, considering how loose Blue Sky is with death threats, but yeah. And so for reference, preteens is almost like the E10 plus game ratings. Yeah. Power Rangers falls into a little higher than Fortnite. Like the violence in Power Rangers is a little more direct than Fortnite's. And I know that's a lot saying because Fortnite, you run around with a gun shooting people, hitting with a pickaxe. But Um, Power Rangers actually identifies a villain, characterizes a villain, so it clarifies for a child a target. Whereas Fortnite is only presenting you against other players, most of the time bots, but other players. And so you're not meant to have like a blood rivalry, as opposed to like with Power Rangers draws the line with like these guys are evil and have to be blown up at the end of the episode. Fortnite's just like this guy wants to get the number one victory royale before you get the number one victory royale. And that's kind of the end of the conflict for them. So that's why I say that even Fortnite is below Power Rangers violence level. Welcome back to the channel, Nerdy Texan Accountant. We appreciate having you here. 3 months. Welcome aboard. Really appreciate it. We have Sagittarius Seiya saying Tokyo Sentai Precure Ranger is a sequel of Akiba Ranger, all about Precure becoming the anti-Sentai that wants the medals and capture the Red Sentai powers, resurrect EOS with the Power Rangers footage. I don't know who EOS is. I don't know. EOS? I'm not sure who EOS is. Is that a Precure character? I'm sorry. Tokyo Sentai Precure Ranger is my idea. Oh, okay. By using Power Ranger footage similar to Car Ranger and Akiba Ranger. Sure. I mean, Precure probably would be it would probably be the fulfillment of what people wanted the Powerpuff Girls live action television show to actually be, as opposed to the incredibly messed up crap that they ended up producing and thankfully never released. So Precure would probably be the thing that people actually wanted, you know. Sakura Mita says, instead of parody Super Sentai like Akiba Ranger, in my Sentai idea, it is a world without Super Sentai and 5 girls living in Akihabara are chosen by magical fairies to become the new Super Sentai team. You know, if you wanted to bring it over to the US, like I said, it would probably fulfill what people wanted out of the Powerpuff Girls CW show. So rather than, again, what we got. So, I thought Auriga White face resembles an evil common writer from Den-O show or something, but I don't know which one. Oh, it's the green one. Oh boy. Common writer Den-O. Yeah, Zeronos. This is Common Writer Zeronos, and I think that's where his headpiece is standing out to you. You see, it's pretty similar, but it doesn't have the central focal point. It was kind of fun when his eyepieces moved into position because they made cow noises as well as train noises. It went moo as it went around. That was fun. But yeah, Zeronos was I think that's where you're thinking of the different head shapes on here. Looks pretty close to what you got with Auriga White. Where did we put her? There it is. Auriga White. Looks the shape, the general shape. I see where you're getting it. Looks pretty close. But somebody did go out and make the Auriga Ranger Gatai, giant robot. So we'll bring that up as I go through the chat and take a look at that. I mean, whoever is doing this is very committed. Like, I have to admit that even I wouldn't go so far as generating these separate machines and how they transform. I honestly would not go that far because it's, you know, I'm just not that committed to fulfilling the idea, I guess, because I know it's not going to go anywhere. It won't lead anywhere. Toei's not going to give me a phone call and tell me, let's do it. So, you know, I just wouldn't push it that far. But this guy or gal, whoever's doing it, is very committed to making this a real thing, or at least looking like a real thing. And I have to give him props. It looks pretty real. Are you sure the guy who is the identity of Gavan Infinity look anything like Shunya Reishi? I think I said that. She Rishi, I think it's she Rishi. I'm sorry. Alpha Omega explained how to say it. I've already forgotten. I mean, the image is so fuzzy. Well, again, I'm just going off of what other people are reporting, and this account that reported it appears to be. Um, where did you go? Where did that? Well, that's annoying. So we'll just go get it. Hold on just a second, fellas. This comes from Yo Boy K. Now, again, it doesn't sound like much, but it's over 2.4 thousand likes on it. And oh, son of a bitch. I guess you're right. It was fake. So, well, that's embarrassing. I got excited and I didn't scroll down. I guess I should have. I apologize, guys. I got y'all excited about nothing. You got a good point there. Adam Watkins. Watkins. My gosh, I'm so sorry. You got a point. That's apparently that's an AI generated image. So I don't know why it's so. That's why I believed it because it was just so shitty. Like this actually looked like a scan that we usually get before the official is released. Oh well. So just for clarity, we do not have Common Rider Wizard's actor playing Gavan Infinity. I apologize. I believed it because again, the shittiness of the scan made me think it was real. So I fell for it. I'm not a wizard, no pun intended. I'm not a wizard. I can't sniff out AI all the time, as you can see. But I guess that's how you get around people identifying your shit is making it so hard to see that you can't tell. So someone must have generated a full character design off of the preview that we got. Hold on, jump back over to the bookmarks and cut that image again. I got to tell you, X and Facebook are just broken platforms these days. Both of them are just absolutely useless for trying to conduct anything useful. So yeah, it must be that someone designed, expanded a character design out of this image right here. And so the fingerless glove, the color of the jacket was preserved. Whereas over here, as you can see, the fingerless glove and the jacket color were preserved. And that's what threw me. So I'm sorry, guys. I'll remember in the future to scroll down. It's very embarrassing. Don't get me wrong. It's very embarrassing. I legitimately believe this was true because, again, Toei likes to hire back actors to do new roles, so it's not unheard of. But that's what got me excited too, because it was interesting to see this actor return to play another Toei hero, especially given that he's in his middle 30s now, early 30s, most likely, maybe more. But such is not the case. Apparently, it's not the guy. So, wow. That's egg on my face, guys. I'm sorry. Have you heard of the Yakuyu Sentai V Leaguer? Nope. I haven't heard of that ever. Sorry. I haven't even heard anything that sounds like that. Oops, click the wrong button here. I have Sakura Mita saying, speaking of AI, I check every AI and all of them got downgraded as if AI is a scam. And then, yeah, didn't bother to cover the downgrade intellect system. Like you expect me to pay $100 for gen credits. So a lot of them that are, so I use a website called I'll just type it in the chat. So Free Pick started off as a stock photo website. And so Free Pick, well, it went to everybody. So if you're not paying attention, this is going to look weird. But Free Pick started off as a stock photo website, stock vector graphic website, later expanded into stock video. Then when AI video and image generators showed up, it started, somehow they worked up a deal where they created this suite where you have access to 7 different image generators and I think 14 different video generators. Of course, you do have to pay for credits on some of them. All the image generators are free if you don't want to, if you're okay with waiting a minute at max, most of the time, a minute at max for your image to render because they have a slow down mode, which I'm in no hurry. So I'll just generate some stuff and then go make a sandwich or something and come back and it'll be all ready. I'm pretty laxed about it. I guess I'm like the Origa Rangers. I'm calm. I'm calm and strategic about it. But yeah, so a lot of the generators too are dealing with people creating deep fakes of politicians, of celebrities, of regular people, which is what Elon's under fire for, as a Beaky Gamer has talked about on and off in the chat today. That's a legitimate problem. I don't know why Elon built an invitation button, if you will, for people to just jump in and edit somebody's family photos. It blows my mind that he did that, but that's what you're stuck with right now. And he's apparently not going to back down from it now that the UK and Australia and Canada want to ban X. So that button's there forever now, guys. You know how his ego is. He's definitely not going to take it away now. But that's it. I don't know why he did that, because you can mess with any image now. And Grok is a competent enough image generator. It's not perfect, but it's a competent enough image generator to take an image that is really any quality and pretty closely alter it into something that looks like a light corrected change. So let me just see if I could do it right here. This is an AI generated image apparently. So yeah, so put red helmet character in bikini. Let's see if it'll do it. It's gonna do it. I can't believe this. This is so stupid. There's no way. It didn't do it. It didn't do it. Okay, it didn't do it. But as you can see, Grok is intelligent enough to address that the character is red helmet. Of course, the low quality makes it hard for Grok to trace the image size and things like that correctly. But as you can see, the character is now in a bikini and the pose has been roughly replicated, not perfectly, obviously, but roughly replicated. So, and you just do that. You can just do that to an image. Just do that. Whatever. It doesn't really care. This one's funny to me though. Like this is a Sentai bikini. Bikini Ranger. That's right. That's what they need. Bikiniger. Super Sentai Bikiniger. That's what they need. A bunch of dudes and ladies running around in bikinis on top of their spandex. Oh man. Don't tell Toei, they'll do it. But but that's, you could just do that. And that's it. That's a button that invites you to do that. So you could do that to this image, you could do that to this image. I don't advise that. I have a rule. This is one of the things that I try to do to remain somewhat ethic with this stupid technology, because it is going to be part of our lives whether we want it to or not. So what I try not to do is use real people. For a while, I was generating Robert Downey Jr. as Captain America. I made one image of Brandon Miha, I think I've said his name right, who played Jack in SPD. I made one image of him in an updated armor, but then dropped it because I just don't feel right using real people to do this. Like, I know there's a guy inside the suit when I'm playing around with the Gavan designs and doing what I do with them, but it's not sketchy. Don't worry. It's just for the posing for the thumbnails and stuff. I know there's a dude in there, but I'm not taking control of their face. And that's the ethical line that I try to draw with this, is that if you're going to edit any image, just try to make sure that it's not an actual actor's face involved. It's one of the things that really annoys me, I guess, is that you can just edit a celebrity up. You could just edit up a regular person's vacation photos and things like that. And I don't hate people who do this. Like, there are some people Jacob does wrestling edits to show these very out of alignment actors who are playing the wrestling characters, I guess you'd call them in WWE now. He'll redress them in suits that don't look so boring and stupid, and he'll animate them, and they look pretty good. You know, they look appropriate for the character that they're supposed to be portraying, as opposed to the monstrosity that has been sent out for everybody to look at. And that's one of those ones where I wouldn't do it, but I don't like make him feel bad or like poo poo him or anything about that. It's just one of those things where my personal line is I don't do real people in that situation. I just don't. It it's not that they don't deserve it, right? Because like out there, celebrities are public figures. People do drawings of and photoshops of President Trump and things like that before AI was coming through. They did photoshops of Nancy Pelosi. They did photoshops of Chuck Schumer and uh, the vice president guy Pence. They did edits of Pence and things like that. So that's fine in my opinion to go AI generate stupid stuff about those kinds of public figures. Celebrities, I get a little iffy on because they're paid for their face. The only time that I ever really did that in any earnest way was when I made fun of the Superman movie's ending when I generated the super breed rap that involved guy I can't Bradley Cooper's actor where he played the father, played Jor-El. And so I put his face in rapping about telling Kal-El Superman to breed the planet. And again, another thing that I probably wouldn't do again. Because again, it's not that I'm worried about getting sued or anything. It's just one of these ethical things that I have is that if you're going through all the trouble of that, just make a new person to do it. Just generate a new face to put on it. But I do understand why people do it. It's just my line to try and preserve some type of ethical boundary for myself, so I'm not like generating weird Golden Girls revivals and things like that. So, because I get bored in the middle of the night, I get bored. Let's see. Um, Sakuramita says, "Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sora 2 only have gen credits and no upgrades on the systems. Yeah, it's Sora got kneecapped pretty hard after the South Park fiasco, which surprised me because I would have figured Michael Jackson's estate would have sued them earlier before South Park ever tried to legally bind Sora. But either way, it was South Park that struck the first blow, and I think that made OpenAI kind of paranoid about all this stuff, um, which is why Sora is so hit or miss, I guess. And I personally don't have good luck with Sora, so I don't bother with it. I've seen other people they can generate stuff that looks like true blue news footage. I watched that today. Someone generating news footage that there's actually but get this, okay? There's legitimately people out there trying to generate AI news segments with AI news anchors and AI people being interviewed that are just making commentary about real world events as though they were there on the scene witnessing that event happening. Like that's another ethical line. I don't do that. Like don't AI confuse real life events. Make a meme like JD Vance and his stupid fat face showing up all over the place. Like that's fine. That's him being a dumbass and in his AI wonderland that's going on here, whatever. But again, it's parodying a politician. Don't do that with real news. Don't try to pass off completely AI generated people as witnesses to a crime or an event anyway that was newsworthy. That is just a level of psychopathy I will never understand. Just really crazy, crazy stuff to find yourself in. And then Cider, Eos is the goddess Dawn and love in Tokyo Sentai Precure, and Tokyo Sentai Precure Ranger is the adult only. Oh, ooh, adult only Sentai. That's a lot. I don't hate it, but I don't, I, you know, I could see it. I could see it. It's not a bad idea. It's just a lot of what Sentai really does for me, why I like about it is how innocent it is. The heroes are usually depicted as mostly childlike. They're discovering the world, they're learning how to be friends, they're learning how to trust themselves. They're sort of in the middle of a coming of age story most of the time. And so that's one of the charming things about it. It's why Garo and Common Rider are so distinct, is because they have much more uh, mature angles on them. And when we're talking about a mature storyline, a smaller cast tends to work better because the drama necessary to hold the audience is a bit hard to spread over even 5 people. Like you saw with the Justice League movie and the Avengers movies, it's to spread out the drama and give everybody breathing room for their story to expand. It really slows down the story a lot. So I could see it working though. I'm not sure how hardline adult it could be though. Like Buffy's probably the range that would be the best in my opinion, but I could be wrong, there might be room for really hmm, what's a good example? Like a Fast and the Furious before it got weird. Um, a Fast and the Furious maturity level storyline for Sentai. Not again, not involving cars, but that level of maturity where like people die, there is suggested nudity, there is cussing, there is bad attitudes, death threats, that sort of thing. That could work for a Sentai and things like that. That could work. But I don't know how mature you can get with it before it just sort of borders into parody because you are dealing with people wearing brightly colored spandex and helmets most of the time. Pre-cure, they don't use the helmets, I don't think. Um, Speaking of Robert Downey Jr., it's hard to have the same beard and hairstyle since it's not supposed to be copyright. It happens to me once when making OCs. Um, so when you're generating these characters, when you find one, it's best to create a character design sheet. So what you'll do is you'll take that character and ask the AI to isolate it against a white background. Then you'll take that image and get it into the reference section of your AI generator. And then you'll tell the generator to create a front facing version, like a front view, a back view, and a side view. And from there, the AI can interpret the character at any angle that you want to put them in. You use that reference sheet when you want to generate that character again. Odds are the facial hair and the hairstyle you're talking about will remain constant through those generations. Um, I think I have some stuff from what I'm working on sitting around. I just don't, sometimes I do political stuff, and I just don't want that cluttering the conversation because that's not important. Um, Here, so I want to show you something disturbing. Okay, this is disturbing. Make no mistake. So here is my replacement for Marvelous. Now, when I say replacement, I'm not trying to outshine Marvelous. There's no way to do that. I would never, ever attempt to outshine Marvelous. But I have created a character that is meant to replace his role in the Gokaiger team for an American Power Rangers adaptation that will never happen called Power Rangers Star Strikers. And this is Ramona Black Eagle. She is the Red Ranger in this story. And I used, I think it'll show him, not download that. Uh, yeah, there we go. So I used this screenshot from, I believe, when Marvelous was fighting Common Rider Decade. I think this is where that's from. And so I use this screenshot here, and as you can see, I replaced Ramona with Marvelous. And this is what the AI did with that low quality screenshot. And so, as you can see, the mobile it looks a lot different, of course, and the key is not really a key anymore, but it's kind of also a key at the same time. It's not perfect. It's one of those ones that still would benefit from having like a 1080p 2000 by 2000 image to work with. So everything's in super crisp 4K detail for it to move over, obviously. But this is how I got her into that pose, holding those two items in the same way Marvelous was. Now, the big problem with this uh, motion tracking thing, because I wanted to test it on this one, because here's Marvelous performing the Go Kaiser transformation sequence, the beginning of it, right? And I wanted to test this because I wasn't sure if the AI was going to be able to translate the Mobira and key, and it didn't, as you can see. It didn't bring over the device at all. And so it's a little annoying to be dealing with that because it really sets back what my plans were. So I have to go through and actually create beginning and end frames of her holding the Mobira in its different stages, and hope that the AI can interpret the part where the Mobira unfolds into the transformation sequence state, I guess. Because if you don't know, the Mobile it has these flip up panels on it, flip up joints. And so when you hit the key in there, the joint releases and the full Go Kaiser symbol is revealed. And as you can see, the AI did not know how to do that. So the Mobile it melts into some glowing device that has this red spoon looking thing shoved into it. So but as you can see, it'll trace the movement pretty well. Erase her belly button, but it'll trace her movements pretty well. And this was a low quality image source too, by the way. This is like 480 or something. Wasn't 1080p, it wasn't 4K or anything. So if you were to use any of that stuff, it might be able to track the mobile better, but at this state, it is in no way capable of performing a one-to-one copy of a transformation sequence, which again is a bit of a drag because it would make these kinds of adaptations much easier to produce if you could simply slap in a couple of images and get the full transformation through. But it is not possible at this time. So, and like I said, I think I was trying to come up with um, Ramona showing up in the cockpit of her galleon, and it doesn't quite work. But so, um, again, I made several attempts of her teleporting in, and it just kind of the AI is not quite there yet. I've got to do more to prep it for this transformation sequence. And she's just whipping it all over the place, and some ghost thing flies through the cockpit for some reason, the command bridge. I don't understand, but this one, there's explosions in space and whatever, and then her cigar, for whatever reason, turns into a marker. So there's still a long way to go before the AI is in any way capable of handling just what is where's Ramona? She's holding on the thing here. There. Before the AI is ready to complete the generation of like a morphing sequence or some really intense special effects that you don't really have to sit down and do a lot of surgery to in order to make them work. So it's not perfect and it's in no way ready to compete with Hollywood, but probably within a year it will be able to do that because, right now these are some pretty amateur effects as far as special effects go. And if the AI continues to evolve at the rate that it is, it'll be able to pull off Marvel CGI pretty soon, and you really won't be able to tell the difference, like I was talking about earlier with the Super Sentai stills. But yeah, we're coming into 2 hours now, and as you can tell, I'm running out of power. So it's time for me to shut down the old stream. And yeah, I know, right? It's pretty nuts how it can trace the movements. It sucks that it can't trace the mobile, but someday it might be able to do it. Again, I'm not trying to steal anything. What I'm trying to do is make sure the transformation sequence is accurate because I didn't like how they did it in Power Rangers Super Mega Force. It was stupid looking when they did it. So I was trying to just one to one Marvelous's transformation so that way it looked genuine. But oh well. Sakuramita says, I once made a news of an AU version of Earth where humans and werewolves coexist. Sure, I mean, that's fine to do. But like I said, just I don't think it's right that people go out and make fake news reports about real stories. That just it's a level of crazy that I'm not ready to embrace yet, you know? I don't think that's ethical. You know, if you can't be on the scene to get an interview with somebody, don't AI generate the news scene to do it. It seems pretty wrong. But especially if they're like copy and pasting actual witness testimony into these fake people's interviews for this fake news agency, like that's pretty disturbing as well. So, um, Sagittarius say before I close it down, I'll answer this one. Why didn't the Power Rangers have any movies? It makes no sense. Well, the reality is that the Power Rangers really hit a wall after Mighty Morphin because they pushed it too hard. They really pushed it too hard. And so creating Hollywood production level um, stories for these characters was an absolute money pit because the audience just didn't ever recover to the 1993 levels. The Power Rangers, the movie, and Power Rangers Turbo. I don't think Zeo made it to theaters. I think that was a couple of episodes combined together, but I could be wrong. But I think Zeo Quest is not an actual feature length movie. I think it's a couple of episodes sewn together for that direct to movie release there, direct to video release. So, but it was just a money pit to try and make a feature length Hollywood level production Power Rangers movie after Mighty Morphin. I think that's really why the corporation just got so stuck on Mighty Morphin because it was the one that attracted the most attention. What they keep forgetting is it was the first of its kind. That's why it did so well. There was no other show on television or anywhere really in the United States that did what Power Rangers did. The closest one we had at the time was Captain Power. And even then, Captain Power did not do what the Power Rangers did. So and of course, Saban and other competitors tried to copy the Power Rangers' success with other productions, but it just never caught the same wind. And so, spending that money on a feature length movie for half the audience of what Mighty Morphin had at best just didn't add up for them. So, that's unfortunately how it went. Maybe we'll see this Disney Plus series spiral out into some stories about the later Power Ranger teams. I mean, I wouldn't hate it if their stories were retold, I guess, in movie form. That wouldn't bother me. You know, if Turbo got a movie again, In Space got a movie again, Lost Galaxy, excuse me, In Space got a movie period, Lost Galaxy, Lightspeed, Time Force, so on and so forth. It wouldn't bother me if they got like one or two movies that explain their story. That wouldn't be terrible. But largely, the audience for Power Rangers is mostly adults now, which again, it perplexes me why Hasbro is doing the things that they're doing with the brand, trying to make it into a children's brand again when they've when they've tried very, very hard rather to attract the adult audience by holding on to Mighty Morphin so long. It's been 33 years now, 32 years, 33, something like that. And we're still talking about Jason and Tommy and Zach and Trini and Kimberly and Billy still. Even though there's 28 other teams of Power Rangers that have just as compelling of a story. But and it's just what it is. It's just what it is. So if you're a Power Rangers fan, just get used to the pain. Just get used to the pain. But as always, guys, keep a cool head out there and good luck.